This is the graphical approach to aggregate production planning. So from this graphical approach, if you remember, we can apply the level strategy. Okay, we can apply a mix strategy if you want, or we can also apply the chase strategy. And from all these strategies, then later we can calculate the total cost. We can calculate the total cost of each of the strategy and then see which strategy is the best. So that is the graphical approach. So today I'm going to talk about this mathematical approach. So the mathematical approach that you're going to use, you're going to learn is called transportation method. It is part of linear programming. Linear programming is not computer programming, so you do not have to worry. So there is no computer programming involved. It's called programming because it involves a set of mathematical procedures. Okay, so linear programming is just a mathematical procedures, a set of procedures used to solve a linear mathematical model, a mathematical model which is linear. You will learn linear programming in next semester, okay, under a course called Operation Research. So this course normally is taught by me. If not me, then it will be Dr. Syed Ahmad Helmi. So transportation method can be used to solve aggregate production planning. Okay, in fact, it says to produce optimal plan. Okay, much better than the graphical approach. It produces an optimal plan because it uses mathematical procedures. Okay, but later you will see actually there is not much mathematical procedures involved. Okay, because in this course we have simplified it. But if you take operation research under transportation method, then you will see there will be more mathematical procedures. Right? So transportation method is part of linear programming. It produces optimal plan. It works well. It works well if the company is dealing with inventories, overtime, and subcontracting. So it means transportation method works well if the company is using a mixed strategy, where the company wants to use up their inventory, at the same time the company wants to use overtime, and at the same time the company wants to do subcontracting. So transportation method is better if a company has a mixed strategy. Okay, combining different strategies together, such as using inventory, overtime, subcontracting, regular time, and so forth. The problem is this method does not work well when there are non-linear factors or negative factors. Okay, normally all mathematical procedures will be difficult when there are negative factors or non-linear factors, okay, which are involved. And therefore, this transportation method is only part of linear programming. It only works well when we have a linear mathematical model. Okay, not a non-linear mathematical model. In fact, you won't see the mathematical model in this course. Okay, you will only see it if you take the subject operation research. So let's look at how the transportation method works. So this is the example. This is the problem given, and we will solve this problem, okay, using the transportation method. So there's a company. There's a company called Farnsworth. This company produces tire. So the company wants to do aggregate production planning for 3 months on a quarterly basis for 3 months for March, April, and May. And the following data are given. So what are the data given? First is the demand. Customer demand is given. So for March, customer demand is 800. For April, 1000. For May, 750. And then also given the data on capacity. Okay, regular time capacity, overtime capacity, subcontracting capacity. And there is a beginning inventory of 100 tires. Okay, so let me explain what is this beginning inventory. Beginning inventory at March, or in March, when we start March, the company already have 100 tires. So what it means that in February there is some leftover. February there is some leftover of tire, and this tire is carried forward to March. And because of that, it becomes the beginning inventory in March. right? Understand, huh? Okay, and if you look at the regular time capacity here, in March, the company will have a regular time capacity of making 700 tires. The same for April, the same for May. Yeah? So please understand that the regular time capacity is not in hours, it's not in time unit. Okay, but it's in number of tires, number of products that company can produce. So the same meaning for overtime. It means that in March, the company will have an overtime capacity of making 50 tires. In April, also 50 tires. In May, 50 tires. Okay, so again, the overtime is not in hours, it's not in time units. Okay, but it shows the capacity in terms of number of tires that the company can produce. And then for subcontracting, these are the capacities. Available March 150, April 150, but in May 130. And in addition to this, the costs are given. Right? So the cost of making one tire during regular time is $40. The cost of making one tire during overtime is $50. So of course, the charges involved for overtime is higher than regular time. And for subcontracting, okay, if the company subcontract the tire to a subcontractor, the subcontractor will charge the company $70 per tire. And also given this carrying cost, I've explained what is carrying cost. Carrying cost is the inventory holding cost, is the inventory storage cost. So if we carry the tire, or if we hold the tire, or we store the tire for 1 month, okay, it costs the company $2 per tire. $2 per tire per month. That is carrying cost. Okay, so later we'll go back to this. So this is just introduction of all the data given. And how do we do transportation method? How do we use it? So these are the important points that you have to understand. First, the question says carrying costs are $2 per tire per month. Okay, I already explained. Carrying cost is $2 per tire per month. So what it means if goods are made in one period and then carry forward to the next period or held over to the next period, then the holding cost is incurred. Holding cost is the carrying cost. In other words, it's the storage cost. Okay. Now, second point is important. When we use the transportation method, the supply must be equals demand. The total supply must be equal to total demand. Supply means our capacity supply. Okay, so the company capacity supply must be equals to the customer demand. Or later you will see, you have a table like this. Okay, so when supply equals demand, it also means that the number of rows in the table has to be same as the number of columns in the table. Right? So if supply does not equal demand, or number of rows does not equal to the number of columns, then you must do this. You must either add a dummy column or a dummy row, okay, in the table. So supply must be equal to demand, row must be equals column. The number of rows must be equals to the number of columns. If they are not equal, then either a dummy column or a dummy row has to be added. Third point, it says that back ordering is not viable. Okay, it's not allowed because the question did not mention anything on back ordering. So there is no back ordering involved in this question. So back ordering is not viable, it's not allowed. And next, okay, it says that quantities in each column in the table designate the levels of inventories or production quantities. Okay, and production quantity, missing, and production quantity. I think my computer is slow. Okay, okay. I won't type, so you just take note. So if you look at the table, okay, later we need to fill up some quantities in this table. So that quantities that we will fill up in the table actually are the inventory levels or the production quantities, okay, needed to meet the demand requirements in each period. Okay, so I hope you understand. And number five is the most important. This is how the transportation method works. Okay, it says that we must allocate, okay, we must find the lowest cost cell. Lowest cost cell is the cell with the minimum cost. Okay, and we try to allocate as much as possible. Okay, we try to allocate as much production quantity as possible, or we try to allocate as much inventory quantity as possible to the lowest cost cell. So once we are done, we then find the next cell with the next minimum cost, and we allocate as much as possible. Okay, and when we are done, then we look for the next cell, which is having the minimum cost, and then we try to allocate as much quantity as possible. Right? So this is how it works, as simple as this. So when you allocate the quantity, you must make sure that the capacity is not exceeded and the demand is also not exceeded. Okay, so production quantities or inventory quantities should be allocated first to the lowest cost cell without exceeding unused capacity and also the demand. So once we are done, then we look for the next cell that has the minimum cost, and we allocate as much as possible. And this process is repeated until all the cells or all the quantities has been allocated. Okay, so I hope you understand all this. Okay, now we look at this thing. So this is the most important part. So to use the transportation method, first thing is you have to develop this table. This table here. Okay, now the columns in this table correspond to the demand. So for example, demand for period 1 is 800. As you can see, I copy and paste this data over here. Demand for March is 800, so 800. Demand for April is 1000, so 1000. Demand for May is 750. Okay, so each column represent the demand for each period. And then you also have rows, right, in the table. Now, each row represent the supply capacity. Okay, each row represent the capacity, okay, of each of this strategy for each period. Okay, so we have a beginning inventory, right, of 100 tires. So beginning inventory capacity is 100. And then for period 1, uh, we can use either of these three strategies, right? Either regular time, overtime, or subcontracting. So for regular time, the capacity is 700. So you have 700 over here. For overtime, capacity is 50. So 50, Subcontracting 150. So 150. Right, so we do the same for period 2. You fill up period 2. Period 2, these are all the strategies that can be used. Regular time, overtime, subcontracting. So these are the capacities. 700, 50, 150. And then for the third period, these are the capacities. 700, 50, 130. Okay, so that is the first thing you have to do. Build this table. The columns represent the demand for each period. The rows represent the capacity for each of the strategy, each of the aggregate production planning strategy for each period. Okay, okay. Now, if we total up the demand, 800 plus 1000 plus 750, you will get 2550. right? 800 plus 1000 plus 750, 2550. Huh? And if we total up the capacity, you press your calculator, we will get 2780. So demand is not equal to capacity. Huh? Demand is 2550, capacity is 2780. So you remember what I said just now, if supply does not equal demand, then either you need to add a dummy column or a dummy row. Okay, so in this case, common sense will tell us that we have to add a dummy column. Okay, so this dummy column corresponds to unused capacity, right? Because we have more capacity than the demand. Huh? So it means at the end, we will have some unused capacity. Okay, understand? Huh? So this unused capacity will be equals to 230, huh? Which is 2780 minus 2550. Okay, is that okay? 2780, okay, 2780 minus 2550, huh? And that will give us 230. Okay, so remember this, if demand is less than capacity, you need to add a dummy column. Okay, but if demand is more than capacity, then you have to add a dummy row. Okay, okay, then what's next? Okay, um, you see numbers here at the upper right hand. Okay, top right hand corner of each cell in the table. So these values are all the cost value given, cost per tire, right? So for example, look at the first cell. First cell is 0. Okay, why is 0? Because we have just made the thing in period 1, right? We have not carried it over to the next month. So therefore, there is no carrying cost in the first month. All right, we just produced the thing in the first month. We have not uh, hold it for 1 month. We have not carried it forward to the next month. And therefore there is no holding cost involved. So for the first month, zero holding cost or zero carrying cost. And if we carried it to the next month, if we carried it for 1 month, then in April, this is the holding cost involved, $2 per tire per month. And if we carried it forward to another month, to May, so it means in total we have carried it for 2 months already. So it means the carrying cost will be $4 per tire per month. Okay, okay. Now, if you look at the dummy column, everything will be zero. The cost 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay, why? Because this is just a dummy column. It's dummy. It's meaningless. So if it's meaningless, then we just put 0. Okay, 0, 0, 0, 0. Now, this column is just created to balance up the demand with the capacity. Okay, basically it is meaningless. It has no meaning. And because of that, we just put 0 cost. Right? And then for regular time in period 1, period 2, period 3, you just fill up the values. So regular time, the cost involved is $40 per tire. So for the first month, cost is $40 per tire. Now for the second month, it will be 42. Okay, because 40 plus another $2. Right? Because if we make something in regular time, March, and then if we carry it forward to April, then it will become $42 because another additional $2 of carrying cost is involved. So in April, it will be $42. In May, it will be $44. Right? Okay, same with overtime. Overtime given $50 per tire. So in the first month, March, it's $50 per tire. In April, it will be 52. In May, it will be 54. And same with subcontracting costs. Subcontracting costs $70 per tire for the first month. And second month, $72. And in May, $74. right? And here is the same, you just fill up accordingly. Okay, so I hope you understand, this is period 2, right? This is period 1, so this is period 2. So period 2, the period 1 can be crossed out, you can cross out period 1, because it's no longer relevant. So we start with here, so the first cost is 40 in April, and then in May it will be 42. Overtime 50, 52, subcontracting cost 70, 72. And then for period 3 here, same thing, you can cross out the first two periods, you can cross them out. And we'll start here. Okay, so the cost involved will be 40, 50, 70. Right? So this is just explaining the layout of the table, how we develop this table. Okay, so once you have this table correctly developed, then you can start to allocate. You can start to allocate the quantity to the cell in this table. So that is actually this step. As I said just now, this is the most important. So you have to start with the lowest cost cell, the cell with the lowest cost, and then you allocate. You allocate either the inventory quantity or production quantity, okay? And we allocate as much as possible. So once you have allocated it, then we look for the next cell that has the lowest cost, and we repeat the process. So the process is repeated until all the quantities has been allocated. Right? Okay, so let's start to do it. So let's look at the first period first. Okay, period 1. Okay, let's look at here first. So which cell has the minimum cost? This cell, right? Zero cost. Okay, so now you have to ask yourself, how many quantities, either inventory quantities or production quantities, that I can assign to this cell? Can I assign 800? Means I want to have 800 here. Demand is 800, capacity is 100. So can I assign 800 over here? The answer is cannot, okay, because we only have a capacity of 100 units. Okay, so it means the maximum quantity that I can assign here is 100. Okay, so we assign 100, 100. So basically what it means is in period 1, first you have to use up this beginning inventory, 100. Right? Okay, so we are done with this cell, then let's move on to the next cell that has the minimum cost. Okay, now you can forget about the dummy column. Of course, dummy column, the cost is 0, 0, 0. So don't assign anything to the dummy column because I already said it's meaningless. Okay, you only use the dummy column if at the end there is capacity which is unused. Right? I repeat, you only assign quantities to the dummy column if at the end, after you have completed the assignment, you find that they are unused capacity. And because they are unused capacity, you assign it into this dummy column, because this dummy column is meant for unused capacity. Right? Okay, so don't assign anything to 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay, all those that have the minimum cost. So after this cell, which cell has the lowest cost? This cell, right? Okay, so you have to ask yourself, can I assign any quantities over here? Any production quantities or any inventories over here? Okay, anyone can answer? No. Okay. Okay, one of your friend answer no. Okay, no. Why? Because There's no more capacity. Okay, I already used up this 100 here. So it means I cannot assign anything here, even though the demand is 1000. Okay, I hope you are clear. Then we move on to the next cell that has the minimum cost, which is this cell. So again, you have to ask yourself, can I assign anything here? The answer is cannot. Because although the demand is 750, I've already used up my capacity 100. So I cannot assign anything here. Right? Okay, then move on to the next cell, which has the minimum cost. So this cell, this one, with $40. So what is the quantity that I can assign here? Okay, good, 700. 700, because my capacity is only 700. So maximum, as much as possible, I can allocate 700. So I assign 700. So if we total up the column, actually, we have already fulfilled the demand, because 100 plus 700 is 800. Right? Okay, so we're done with this cell. Move on to the next cell. This cell has the next minimum cost. Is there anything we can assign here? No, because we already used up 700. Then go on to the next cell with the minimum cost, which is 44. Anything I can assign here? No, so nothing I can assign here. Then let's move on. Okay, let's move on to the next cell with the minimum cost. This cell 50. Anything I can assign here? Any production quantity that I can assign using overtime for March? Okay, the answer is no. No, why? Because I already fulfilled all the demands already. I cannot assign any units here. Even though my capacity is 50, I have 50 capacity available, but don't assign 50 here, because if you assign 50 here, it will exceed the customer demand. Okay, customer demand has already been fulfilled, 100 plus 700, 800 already. So it means I don't assign anything here, then I move on to the next cell, which has the minimum cost, 52. So how much I can assign here? Maximum quantity I can assign here. Okay, 50, correct. Okay, I cannot assign 1000. Even though demand is 1000, I cannot assign 1000 because my capacity is only 50. Right? So I can only assign 50. So assign 50 here. And once you're done, you find the next cell that has the minimum cost, which is 54. So anything I can assign here? No, because I already used up my capacity. Okay, so if you're done, then find the next cell which has the lowest cost. So this one has the lower cost, 70. So anything I can assign here? Answer is no, because I already fulfill my demand. Right? Okay, and then I move on to the next cell, 72. Okay, how much I can assign? Okay, 150, correct. I cannot assign more than that, because my capacity is only 150. So assign 150, and then move on to the next cell, which is this 74. Any quantity I can assign here? Okay, no, no, because I already used up my capacity. Right? So it means now I'm already done with period 1. For the first period, this should be my production quantity. Okay, I'll be using up my inventory, okay, that I've carried forward in February. In March, I'll be doing regular time to make 700 units. I need to do overtime to make 50 units in period 2, and also subcontracting 150 units for period 2. Okay, so this is like advanced planning for period 2. Right? Okay, so now let's move on to this part here. This part here. Right? So as I said, this part can be cancelled off because I'm already done with period 1. We're done with period 1. Right? So it means I can start with the cell over here. Okay, so look for the cell that has the minimum cost. Okay, as I said, don't go for 0, 0, 0, because the dummy column is meaningless. So start with this cell. This cell has the minimum cost, $40. So what is the maximum amount I can assign here? Okay, 700, correct. Right, 700, and then done. Move on to the next cell, 42. Cannot assign here because I already used up my capacity. Then I move up to the next cell here, which has the minimum cost, 50, yeah, $50. So where's the amount I can assign here? 50. Okay, but be careful, make sure you don't exceed the demand. So put 50 here. Okay, demand is still not exceeded. So I can have 50 here, fine. Right, so done. Then you find the cell with the next minimum cost, 52. Anything I can assign here? Nothing because I already used up my capacity. And let's move on to the next one here. Then next cell here, 70. Where's the amount I can assign? 50, yeah? Okay. Okay, why 50? Because I cannot exceed the demand. Cannot assign 150 here, even though my capacity is 150. Yeah? Because if I put 150 here, I will exceed the demand. Okay, so it means maximum I can only assign 50. Yeah? And one of your friends have answered it. I can only assign 50. Yeah? Right? Because 50 plus 150, 200 plus 700, 900. 900 plus 50, 50 is just 1000. So it means maximum I can only assign 50 here. Okay? Okay. And when you're done, then move on to the next cell, which has the lowest cost. Okay, in this cell, can I assign anything? Uh, okay, I see the answer in the chat. You said 100. Okay, be very careful. Actually, you cannot assign anything here because if you assign anything here, there will be overlapping already, right? Because subcontracting is already assigned for period 2. Subcontracting is already assigned here. So if you assign here again, then there will be overlapping. Okay, so that is what the textbook is saying. So don't do overlapping assignment. Okay, so make sure each cell has only one unique assignment. Okay, if you assign here, then there will be overlapping because this subcontracting will be assigned to 2 places. So it means do not assign anything here, leave it empty. And then let's move on to this period 3 here, this one. Okay, the last rectangle here. So I can cross out the first 2 period already because it's already done. I can cross them out. So I can start with this part over here. So start with the cell with the lowest cost. Lowest cost is 40. Don't start with 0 because 0 is in dummy column. Right? So for 40 here, what is the maximum amount I can assign? 700. Correct. So assign 700. And move on to the next cell that has the minimum cost, 50. So what is the amount I can assign here? Okay, 50. Okay, and move on to the next one, $70 here. Any amount I can assign here? No. Okay, because I already fulfill my demand already. 700 plus 50, 750. So there's no need to assign anything here, even though capacity is available. Okay? Okay. Now, it's basically done now, but at the same time, you know that at certain point, I have unused capacity. Right? For example, this 130 is not used at all. So it means you just have to assign it in the dummy column because the dummy column represents unused capacity. So this 130 units of capacity is not being used. You don't have to use it. Okay, and if I go up here, this place also there is an unused capacity of 100, right? Because I only use up 50 here. So it means the balance 100, you can assign it over the dummy column, which represents unused capacity. Right, so I think it's pretty simple. If you follow my explanation, you should be able to understand how I get all this. So this is what we call the optimum assignment. Right, if you refer back here, it can produce an optimal plan. So this plan that we have produced using the transportation method is actually optimum. Okay, why optimum? Because it will give us the total minimum cost. We have already minimized the total cost. Okay, how to calculate the total cost of this aggregate production planning? Okay, I think it's very easy. The total cost, we want to calculate the total cost is equals to 100 units times 0. Okay, plus 70 times 40. Okay, you use the quantity here times the cost. 100 times 0 plus 700 times 40 plus 50 times 52. Okay, you just repeat the process. 150 times 72. Okay, and you repeat calculation and you will get the total cost. Right? So at places that have 0, basically the cost is 0 already, even though you use the inventory or you have unused capacity. Because anything multiplied with 0, you get 0 cost. So you only need to add up this place, the cost for okay, you only need to add up calculate the cost for here, 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 and here. Right? So you multiply them, you total up, you get the total cost. And this total cost is minimum, minimum total cost. Okay, so yeah, this is the last slide really. So it's done. Okay, it's done for aggregate production planning. Any questions so far that you like to ask? Anything that you're not sure? Okay, let me read the chat. There is one question. Why for April can we use subcontract period 2 as 150 as subcontract period? May I ask why for April? April, can we use or we can use? Can we use subcontract period 2 as 150 here? And
Doctor,
subcontract
I means for the below the subcontract for period 2, we use 150 units, and then the
here.
upper for the
Here is
yes,
it.
this yes.
Okay.
Is it
Here
better
for
we use 150, and then the above one we use 50 only, because 72 cost is higher than 70, right?
here you put 150. Here
Yes,
you put
then the
50.
upper one I change to 50. Yes, that's my question.
Okay, good question. But I can only answer you that when we do it, if you follow the textbook, we do it, as I said, period 1 first. We try to allocate as much as possible, and then period 2, and then period 3. Okay, we try to do it
Oh,
that way.
okay,
Um,
thank you, doctor.
okay, maybe what you say is correct. If we total up the total cost for all the 3 periods. Okay, but if we calculate the total cost separately for each period, then it will be different. Okay, so if you put 150
Okay.
here, then the total cost for period 2 will increase. Okay, is that answering your question?
Okay, thank you, Doctor.
Okay, the total cost for each period. If you put 150 here, then the total cost for period 2 will increase.
Raja, I have also a question. Okay,
Okay.
about the period 2 for the subcon, we cannot overlap, right? So does that apply for other like regular and overtime also?
Yeah. Okay, for example, if you have overtime here already, then don't assign over here. Okay, or you subcon over here already, then don't subcon over here. Okay, I understand all your question, because when I look at this example in the textbook, for the first time, I also have a lot of queries. Okay, I'm also a bit doubtful whether the authors have done it correctly or not. Okay, I have the same doubt as you, right? Because if you learn operation research next semester, the approach is also like this, but the assignment will be different if you follow that approach. Okay, so the only thing I can answer you is, since we are using the textbook, we follow what the textbook says at the moment. Okay, no overlapping. Okay, no overlapping. And then do it period by period. Do period 1 first, and then period 2, and then period 3. And for each period, assign as much as possible first. Okay, this is what you should do for PPC. But in operation research that you may take next semester, you will take next semester. Okay, the thing, it will be a bit different. Okay, we will consider everything together, and you will assign starting with the lowest cost cell, and you will assign as much as possible. Okay, so I hope that answered the question. Okay, we still have some time, some balance time remaining, few minutes. Okay, I've read the proposal that you all have submitted. Okay, your project proposal. Okay, I've read your proposal. Some I find it to be very ridiculous. I don't know, maybe you guys are not prepared at all. Okay, I really informed you all 3 weeks earlier. Okay, generally the proposal are okay. Okay, except for some lah. Okay, so I pick up 3 of these which I feel is not okay. Okay, and I want to tell you why it's not okay. So this first proposal, okay lah, I don't want to show the group name lah. I keep it confidential, but I think you know your group. So this proposal have no company yet. So in fact, some of the proposal also have no company. Now, by right, you already should have your company by now. Okay, so if you still don't have company, means you are already very, very behind schedule already. Okay, so generally the proposal have companies. I think about 50% still do not have company, including these 3 lah. Okay, not these 3, including this one. Including this one, they have no company. So this proposal is not okay because it has no company yet, and it proposes to do only forecasting. So I already said that cannot be done. You cannot just do forecasting for one company. You must apply at least 3 methods. Okay, from 3 different topics. Okay, scheduling is one of them. So one of the topic applied must be scheduling. So please take note. Okay, and this proposal, okay, you know which group you are. I'm not going to show the name. I think this group also still doesn't have company. Again, same problem, no company yet. And the Gantt chart is problematic. Why Gantt chart only 4 weeks? I cannot see your planning for you to start and complete the project. Okay, planning week 1, research somewhere here, scheduling focusing week 4. So 4 weeks you will complete the project. Doesn't make sense, right? You need to plan a Gantt chart until end of June, because end of June is the deadline that I've given you. Okay, so in the Gantt chart, you have to plan properly your tasks. For example, when do you plan to visit the company? Okay, when do you plan to collect the data? Okay, when do you plan to apply the methods? Okay, when do you plan to have meetings? All that need to be in the Gantt chart, not a Gantt chart like this, which doesn't make sense at all. And there's also this group. I think this group is slightly better. Just an example, they are proposing this company, so to me it's fine. Okay, but the Gantt chart again doesn't make sense. Meeting for completing brief proposal, 22nd June. I thought you already submitted the brief proposal already in 21st April. So this is what? This is having a meeting to complete the final proposal. And you need to meet for what? 2 months full. That's why I say your Gantt chart doesn't make sense. You highlight everything here yellow color, and then just a meeting for the brief proposal only. It takes what? 2 months, and every day, every hour you have meeting. So it doesn't make sense. Okay, in fact the task over here also doesn't make sense. So please correct them. Rationale for selection. I thought you already selected the company. Why rationale for selection need to go until May? You already have the company here. You already told me the rationale. Okay, but you say you will complete it in May. So again, doesn't make sense. Ridiculous. Okay. So many other tasks are missing. Make sure you plan your Gantt chart properly. Okay, and I want every group to follow what you plan in the Gantt chart so that you can complete the project on time. Okay, the rest that I didn't mention here should be fine. Okay, some of you already have company. I'm okay with the company. Most of you, as I said, 50% still do not have company. So without a company, I cannot comment. I cannot comment much. So please get a company as soon as possible. Okay, so I hope it's clear. Any other things that you want to ask? Okay.